Are working-class white men and boys always the easy target? Adolescence is the box office Netflix series that's got everyone talking. Now, it covers the harrowing story of a seemingly normal young lad who brutally kills a girl. Now, I want to start by saying that I've watched every single second of it. And the actor, Stephen Graham, is magnificent. He's actually my favourite British actor. Ashley Walters is great. The star of the show for me is, of course, the little lad, Owen Cooper, who is clearly an absolute superstar.
Amy, if you do not sit down, I want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control what I look at me now! You do not control what I do in my life! Get that in that little head of yours!
As a piece of cinema, it's stellar. The dialogue is intricate and captivating. The insight it gives into the emotions that parents must feel after their child commits a hideous crime is remarkable.
But him going guilty is probably for the best. And if you were honest, you'd see that as well.
I saw what I saw. I didn't want to believe it. But I saw it.
It probably deserves to scoop all the awards that are no doubt coming its way. It was even raised in Parliament today.
Everyone is talking about Adolescence, the series by Knowsley's own Stephen Graham and Christys Tomarco. It highlights online male radicalisation. So will the Prime Minister back this campaign to counter toxic misogyny early and give young men the role models they deserve?
This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent, and we have to tackle it.
Online radicalisation, incel culture, violence against women, these are all very real problems. But my concern is this. Will this perpetuate a narrative that the biggest problem in society and the biggest threat posed to women and girls comes from working-class white boys? Does it run the risk of demonising them? They are already told to check their privilege. They're already told that people who look like them are responsible for all of the world's evils. They're already the worst performing at school. It is always easier for celebrities and politicians to jump on a bandwagon if the problem is seen to be white Brits. Stephen Graham is apparently from Knowsley in Liverpool, as the local MP pointed out just there. But do we remember what else happened in Knowsley?
No far right here, lad. Concerned parents. I've got two daughters. I'm concerned for the sake. We're going to carry on until they're gone.
A video emerged that appeared to show a foreign man who claimed to be 25 approaching a 15-year-old schoolgirl. Now, obviously, people shouldn't have attacked the asylum hotel, but there was a sense from locals that their girls were under threat from foreign men. And this is something that actually is echoed right across this country.
Yeah, are you guys aware that the asylum seekers that you guys have got in the hotel are down by the school taking photographs?
Are they doing it right now?
They're not right now, but they were about 9 o'clock this morning.
Our phone's been going crazy all morning. I've been getting a lot of phone calls.
Oh, bless you.
I'm aware of what's going on.
When I drove by this morning, it seemed like it was all just men in the hotel. Is there actually any women and children, or is it just men?
No, there isn't any women and children.
Yeah. Do you think that Netflix would commission a series on the threat to women posed by illegal immigrants and asylum seekers? Do you think that Netflix would commission a series on the threat to women posed by foreign people in Britain? Foreigners are 3 times as likely to be arrested for sex offences than British citizens. Asylum seeker Abdul Azidi doused a woman and a child in acid in Clapham. That kind of violent misogyny, perpetuated by men from Middle Eastern nations, very rarely gets raised in the House of Commons, does it? When it came to the Pakistani rape gang scandal, there have been 2 documentaries on the, quote, fake grooming gang scandal. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's only really been 1 drama about the real scandal, which, as we know, has taken place in at least 50 towns and cities right across the country. Will Netflix commission a documentary on toxic masculinity among some aspects of the British Muslim community? That can be an unbelievably patriarchal culture where many regard women as being second-class citizens? What about the fact that cases of female genital mutilation rose by 15% a couple of years ago? What culture was responsible for that? Was that young, working-class white boys? We've got unbelievable gang culture in Britain. Unfortunately, much of that seems to be carried out now by young, often black and Asian men. Now, obviously, there are loads of documentaries and dramas on gang culture, but how many of them really get stuck into the issue of fatherlessness amongst the black community? Now, I'm not trying to offend anyone by saying any of this stuff. I'm really not, OK? And the issue of young boys and men going online, being radicalised, becoming incels, thinking that women are evil and that they can be violent towards them is a huge problem, OK? But here's what I think. Toxic masculinity is not the preserve of British working-class white men and boys. In fact, the stats I've shown earlier would actually indicate that the biggest threat to women, certainly in a sexual sense, comes from foreign-born men, many of whom, you would imagine, will not be white. The problem is celebrities, actors, TV executives, judges for TV and film awards, many people in the media, and, of course, politicians, only feel really comfortable highlighting what people are to blame. How long will it be before Netflix commissions a series on the misogyny, backward and sexually violent attitudes towards women held by some people who have just entered Britain illegally from parts of the Middle East? Let's get thoughts from my panel this evening. Director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist, Adam Brooks, and broadcaster, Nina Mishkov. Look, everybody's talking about this. It was raised in Parliament today. It's probably going to scoop a load of awards. Stephen Graham, Ashley Walters, they're all over the media at the moment. Rightly so. You know, I do just feel... I'll start with you, actually, Adam, on this, if you don't mind. How do you feel about this? Do you think this runs the risk of unnecessarily and unfairly making it out that kind of white working-class boys are the main problem?
Yeah, look, it's a clearly very well-made programme, drama, very hard-hitting, raises some serious issues. I've got a 15-year-old boy, so I know many of the issues that this drama sort of highlights, but we are running the risk of demonising young working-class white boys. I think there's a lack of parenting now with many of these younger generations. My young boy has got a phone, he's got access to certain social media, but we check it and I speak to him. He says things that I don't like and I correct him on it and I educate him on some of the things that he says to me. I believe that there's a lot of this younger generation that don't have a father figure around or parents that actually parent, and that is a problem. But let's remember, this is not a series that should highlight white boys being a danger to women in society.
I suppose this idea now of it shining a light... It's shining a light on many things. One of them is unquestionably this idea of toxic masculinity and incel culture, OK? But certainly when it comes to toxic masculinity, I don't know how many politicians would be willing to stand up in the House of Commons there, or how many celebrities or actors or actresses would be willing to really shine a light on rampant toxic masculinity amongst certain aspects of the British Muslim community.
It's a very fair point. I think your monologue is a pretty good pitch for a Netflix drama series. If Netflix won't do it, let's find someone who will. I agree with your general hypothesis that there is a tendency in the arts, not just in Netflix, it's rampant across Hollywood, that you are telling stories that tend to have a kind of liberal, left, white, middle-class guilt element to them, many more of those than there are of other types of stories. In this particular case, I've watched it as well. I mean, it is brilliant but harrowing, right? Don't watch this and crack open a couple of beers and tuck into the nachos. I mean, this is a really grim drama. But I didn't come away thinking it demonised anyone, actually. I thought it was quite a powerful story about how Britain is completely broken. The family in it, for example, are a pretty united group. It's a very loving and supportive marriage. They love their kids. It's not about fatherlessness. But I'm with you that drama needs to be... hard-hitting, needs to expose the truth in each and every area. And the example I would give, I think this will be coming to our shores soon. A few years ago, a great film came out called The Sound of Freedom. It was about child trafficking from Latin America to the USA. Hollywood would not touch it. Jim Caviezel was the lead man in it. It was based on a true story, but it was considered to be far right and not the sort of story you want to tell, because it was about a hero white guy trying to stop trafficking. But it was crowdfunded and made a fortune. And I think increasingly studios are discovering that old thing, you know, go woke, go broke, get woke, go broke. There is a market for the sort of drama series you're telling, a market for it, and I also think a public interest in it being produced.
100%. And again, I want to make it clear, because it's just a difficult thing to talk about. And like I said, Stephen Gray is by far and away, I think, my favourite actor. He's remarkable in everything. I don't want for a single second to be seen to be slagging that guy off. I think that... I don't think this thing shouldn't have been made. I don't think there's any actual flaws to it. What I am saying is I don't think something that may be told a different narrative would be made, Nina. And I think that's a bit of a problem.
Well, I think it might be made. I mean, you were talking about the Rochdale scandals. There was a drama called Three Girls in 2017. And I don't see why there won't be a drama made. And I agree with what everybody said about Stephen Graham. He co-wrote it. Yeah. And it was done... They're all done in one take, like that brilliant film Boiling Point. So all credit to him. But I think what the series highlighted wasn't the fact that it was a white kid. It was talking about how society and parents have been sleepwalking into exposing their children to danger. And to all sorts of influences. But 20 or 30 years ago, there was no way that a young boy could see porn, moving porn. Yes. I mean, you get grubby magazines, but you
know what I can see happening now, though, Nina, and I think it will happen, is that there are calls to show this in Parliament, there are calls to show it in every single school. I can see there being some kind of law introduced off the back of this that limits people's online freedoms and children's online freedoms. Some people might think that's...
I hope so, yes.
Some people might think that's...
Go the Australian way.
OK, all right. But there's not the same kind of readiness and rush to have a conversation about repeated instances of asylum seekers hanging around outside primary schools.
Look, I think you're right here. I think this is going to end up being weaponised by MPs.
No.
Yes.
I think you're completely wrong on that.
And let's remember that the instances of young children...
The colour of the child isn't... It's completely irrelevant.
No, it's going to be weaponised.
No.
100%. But
how?
But... You've got to remember, a knife was used in the murder in this drama. If we look at London, 53% of knife perpetrators are black in London. That is pure facts. Yet they make up less than 10% of the population. So I think MPs would save more lives. Black-on-black crime is a real problem, violence in London. If MPs decided to give that as much airing as something like this, we could actually save lives and stop problems. This is a very rare...
I would say it is very relevant that it is a white family. It's an extremely important part of the narrative. It is a classic, traditional, white working-class family.
I agree with that.
Plays a plumber. They have all of the sort of general social mores, cultural attitudes of a typical white working-class family. It is about the general plight of white working-class families, even if they're doing what they can to stick together. I mean, it starts, as you show, with a rather heavy-handed police raid. You need to do... Well, the police force need to act like that to pick up a 13-year-old boy. I'm not quite clear. There's a whole episode set in a school where it's commented that nobody's learning anything here. This is just a holding pen. So I think a lot of it is about how the institutions of Britain are letting down traditional white working-class British communities. That's what I took away from it. And I've got quite a big woke radar, right? I did not walk away from it thinking this is woke trash. I thought it was a pretty incisive social commentary about how regular traditional white working-class families are facing problems and difficulties and are generally let down by the institutions of Britain.
Yes, but if they'd done a drama, say, about a black family, and you're quite right about the statistics about knife crime, particularly in London.
I just want to save lives, Nina. I think they could do if they highlighted
who doesn't? But the thing is, if they had made a drama about a black kid stabbing another black kid because of what he'd seen on, or because he was part of a gang, that would not have been a surprising drama. Sadly, that would not have been a surprising drama.
I know what you mean.
It would have been. It would say yes, but we know this. We know this. But the point about the surprise about this drama, as you say, was the fact that it was a normal, loving family. There were two parents there, because you know normally it would be a drama like, well, where's the male model?
Oh yeah.
Where's the male mentor? Where's the
Look, Patrick, there's a breakdown of moral morals in the younger generations now. We're seeing porn stars like Bonnie Blue have 1,000 young men turn up, you know, and a lot of the time, very few white boys in that. So there is a problem in many sort of communities with culture and behaviour. So we've got to tackle this. Yes, look, it's a great drama, but it's highlighting many sort of troubles.
Well, we're all agreeing somebody should commission Patrick's drama series on the Clash of
Probably not going to be directed. That would be a car crash.
But the thing is, exposure to porn is we're not.
Everywhere.
Well, that's one of the key parts of the story.
Obviously. But the thing is, as I said, 20 or 30 years ago, if a young boy wanted to see porn, he'd have to go to some cinema or other and pretend to be 18.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
But you're basically right, Patrick,
that
politically incorrect drama basically is not made, and that's a problem.
Well, they are drama. They are made.
Yeah, because for me, it's the power of it. You produce something, just to very quickly I'll say the final thing on this, but you produce something as wonderfully made as what this is, as Adolescence, and it's so great that it gets people talking, it's gripping, it's unbelievable. And then it starts a narrative and it starts a conversation, it finds its way, and then these things have such a big power that they can affect change. I'm just thinking, if you did something similar that really emphasised the lack of safety on the streets, you know, how do women feel on public transport at the moment? Because of, all right, all men, but because really of a lot of foreign men in Britain. It's a big thing. You could do something similar on that and maybe affect change there as well. I don't know. I just don't think we'll ever
going to be weaponised 100%.
I completely disagree with you. It will not come down to a white-black thing. It will not, or white-Asian. It will not be that.
OK.